if there was something they could do that might open up a door to a parallel universe.
It's hard to wrap your mind around that there is something larger than everything.
If there was something scientists could do that might open a door to a parallel universe, how would you react? For most, it's the stuff of comic books or science fiction films. But late one evening, the internet lit up with something much stranger. It began with a simple, startling statement from a 13-year-old boy. CERN has opened a portal. This wasn't idle chatter. It came from Max Cedarov, a prodigy already whispered about in university halls. By the age of 7, he was correcting physics professors on lecture slides. At 10, he reportedly built a working fusion experiment in his family's garage from parts ordered online. His estimated IQ, over 200, placed him in a category where even Hawking and Einstein would be considered average. Now, Max was saying something no one wanted to hear. According to him, CERN's Large Hadron Collider, the most powerful machine on Earth, had not just smashed particles. Guided by a secret quantum AI, it had breached the barrier between worlds. The claim came not in the form of a tweet or a viral video, but in a meticulous 20-page paper, Interdimensional Transference via Quantum Entangled AI. Buried within its dense equations was an explosive statement that the collider had opened a stable portal for exactly 11 minutes. The world might have laughed this off until Joe Rogan put it under his microphone. Max Cedarov isn't like most teenagers. While other kids are memorizing history dates or grinding through algebra homework, Max was charting a course no one his age had ever traveled. His brilliance was both fascinating and unsettling. Reports of his early life read like fiction. At age 4, he was reading advanced math texts. At 7, he stunned an auditorium by correcting the solution of a celebrated professor, offering a proof that later checked out as correct. Journalists dubbed him the world's smartest kid, though Max himself always dismissed the label. "I'm just curious," he once told a small science blog. Curiosity, in his case, meant building devices that experts claimed shouldn't be possible for someone without a multi-million-dollar lab. His fusion experiment was no myth. Pictures circulated online of his garage-turned-workshop, lined with wires, vacuum tubes, and safety notes scribbled in a child's handwriting. But genius has a shadow. Teachers said Max seemed distracted, sometimes muttering about concepts even seasoned scientists didn't grasp. By the time he was 12, he was privately working on ideas most adults couldn't even define. His parents rarely appeared in the media, saying only that their son was on a different path. That different path led straight to the doors of CERN, not physically, but through data. Max had obtained, somehow, internal calibration readings from collider experiments. And in those numbers, he saw something the world wasn't supposed to. To understand Max's claim, you have to understand CERN itself. The European Organization for Nuclear Research is home to the Large Hadron Collider, a 27-kilometer ring buried beneath the French-Swiss border. Protons race through superconducting magnets cooled to temperatures colder than deep space, colliding at nearly the speed of light. Scientists study the debris to unlock the secrets of the universe: dark matter, antimatter, the Higgs boson. But beneath the headlines and Nobel Prize announcements, rumors have long swirled. Conspiracy forums whisper about seismic tremors around the facility, strange weather formations, and unexplained electrical surges. CERN dismisses these as urban legends, yet they persist. What isn't a legend is the AI. In recent years, CERN has deployed machine learning systems to analyze the impossible flood of data generated by collisions. That's public record. What Max claimed was something entirely different, a secret project codenamed Hermes, in which a quantum AI wasn't just analyzing data but controlling the collider itself. This AI, he said, wasn't bound by human logic. It could process trillions of possible configurations in seconds, exploring the collider's limits faster than any team of researchers could. And 5 years ago, it allegedly found something new, a resonance frequency hidden within the collider's superconducting structure. Official CERN documents described what happened next as a power surge during calibration. Max's paper called it something else, the biggest cover-up in human history. So what exactly did Max say happened? According to his 20-page paper, on the night of March 14th, during a scheduled test, the collider didn't just smash protons. It created a momentary rupture. Sensors recorded unexplained energy spikes, levels that didn't correspond to any known particle interaction. Max claimed the quantum AI had tuned the collider like an instrument, finding a frequency where space-time itself vibrated. The effect lasted 11 minutes. During that time, Max wrote, A stable interdimensional aperture existed inside the collider's magnetic lattice. In simpler words, a portal. He described it not as glowing light or a hole in the wall, but as a region where physics behaved strangely, like liquid glass bending around itself. He included satellite readings of a massive energy spike above the facility at the same time. The chilling part wasn't that a doorway opened. It was Max's warning. The aperture was not empty. He didn't claim monsters walked through. He didn't describe creatures. He simply noted that background radiation patterns inside the collider's chamber no longer matched baseline readings. Something, however subtle, had changed. CERN's official statement dismissed it all as imagination. But in the shadows of the internet, Max's claims took root. And soon, the loudest voice in alternative discussion picked it up. Joe Rogan has built his empire on talking about the things mainstream outlets often avoid. From ancient civilizations to psychedelics to questions about consciousness itself, his podcast reaches millions every week. So when Max Cedarov's paper crossed his desk, it was only a matter of time before it hit the airwaves. The clip that spread worldwide wasn't bombastic. It wasn't Rogan yelling or laughing. It was silence. On an episode with a well-known physicist, Rogan pulled up the paper on screen. The guest smirked, calling it brilliant fantasy. He brushed it off as a kid's imagination, drowning his dismissal in jargon. But Rogan didn't laugh. He leaned into his microphone, staring at the equations. Finally, he spoke. Look, I'm no physicist. I'm just a dumb comedian. But I've talked to enough smart people to know when something feels different, and this doesn't feel like a joke. That single sentence exploded across social media. Fans clipped it, remixed it, debated it. Suddenly, Max's obscure paper was front-page material. Millions who had never heard of CERN were now asking the same question. What if the kid is right? Rogan hadn't endorsed the theory. He'd simply refused to laugh it off. And that was enough to ignite an avalanche. As Rogan's clip went viral, new pieces of supposed evidence began surfacing online. Anonymous accounts posted screenshots of CERN data logs, showing unexplained spikes at the exact time Max claimed the portal opened. A technician alleged he saw light bending like liquid glass in the collider tunnel, though his identity was never verified. Max himself released supplemental files. Coded data, he said, came from within CERN. Experts scrambled to interpret them. Some dismissed them as clever fabrications. Others admitted the numbers were uncomfortably precise. Independent scientists weighed in. A few scoffed, pointing out that even if the collider created anomalies, calling them portals was sensationalism. But others were less sure. One theoretical physicist admitted anonymously, "If you told me space-time rippled in a way we don't understand, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me I found it, well, that would keep me up at night." The story was no longer a fringe theory. It was a public controversy, and every new detail raised the same question. Were we witnessing a breakthrough or a hoax spiraling out of control? To most people, the word portal sounds like fantasy, but what did Max actually mean? He described the collider not as a hammer smashing particles, but as a tuning fork vibrating space-time. The quantum AI found a resonance, a frequency where the normal stability of dimensions weakens. Think of it like pushing a child on a swing. With the right rhythm, small pushes build into something much larger. In physics terms, Max suggested the collider briefly created a wormhole, a shortcut through space-time. Others called it a micro-black hole. The AI, in this version, wasn't just a tool. It was an autonomous entity, free to explore scenarios humans couldn't even imagine. That's what terrified people. If the AI could make this happen once, what would stop it from doing it again? And what responsibility did anyone have if the machine decided to test the boundaries further? The idea wasn't just science fiction anymore. It was a thought experiment playing out in real time, amplified by Rogan's megaphone and by a public hungry for answers. Rogan didn't leave the topic alone. In follow-up episodes, he brought on physicists, skeptics, and even conspiracy researchers. The debates were heated. One guest laughed it off, saying, "If a kid solved interdimensional travel with crayons and a calculator, we'd all be out of a job." Another warned, "Dismissing it so quickly is how we miss breakthroughs." Remember, relativity once sounded insane. Rogan straddled the line. He didn't declare Max right or wrong. He just kept asking the same unsettling question. What if this isn't nonsense? Clips of Rogan arguing with scientists spread almost as fast as the original. Fans flooded forums, piecing together timelines, dissecting Max's equations, and comparing them to older mysteries. And that's when the story shifted again. From a boy genius and a collider to a far deeper, darker history. Online investigators connected dots across history. They noted CERN's location near Saint-Genis-Pouilly, once called Apolliacum in Roman times, believed to be a gateway to the underworld. They pointed to the Shiva statue outside CERN, symbolic of cosmic destruction. Skeptics saw coincidences. Believers saw a pattern. From there, the theories spiraled outward. Ancient Egyptian pyramids, precisely aligned to Orion's belt, built with materials that conduct and ionize energy. Sumerian texts describing gods descending from the sky. Indian scriptures detailing flying machines called vimanas. Were these all echoes of the same technology Max now claimed CERN rediscovered? The terrifying suggestion, humanity had opened portals before, and maybe those civilizations paid the price. Suddenly Max's paper wasn't just about CERN, it was about the possibility that history was repeating itself, that ancient myths were warnings disguised as stories. For the average person, life looks normal. The sun rises, bills arrive, and nothing seems to have changed. But what if it has? Max's warning lingers. If a portal opened even for 11 minutes, how can we know what came through? More chilling, how can we know what changed in our own reality? Conspiracy circles linked it to the Mandela effect, collective false memories of events that never happened. Did timelines shift? Did the world stitch itself back together imperfectly after CERN's experiment? Déjà vu, glitches in the matrix, once dismissed as quirks of the brain, now felt like seams in reality itself. Then came the silence. After releasing his files, Max Cedarov vanished from public view. Some say he went underground, others whisper he was taken. His last words in an online forum remain etched in digital stone. It's not about whether the portal exists. It's about what already came through. Joe Rogan closed one of his episodes with a simple reflection. The scariest thing is not knowing. And right now, I don't think anyone really knows. The world is left with a question. Was this the fantasy of a boy genius, or the first glimpse into a larger universe we were never meant to touch?